What is up, fight fans? We're live here with DJC Combat, and I'm showing my face for this live. I might turn off my cam in some moments, but I decided why not show this pretty face? And there's a lot to talk about today. So Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern just got announced. And also Zhang versus Suarez. That's my dream fight that I got to talk about. I've talked about it countless times. And then the Erin Blanchfield versus Santos matchup this weekend. A lot is at stake. And then I'm still shook by the outcome of this weekend's main event. Sugar Sean O'Malley is for real. He's the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm just interested to see how will his reign as champion go. I want to talk about that and recap a bit of the Sterling fight and maybe some of the UFC 292 event. But as I'm doing this live, I'm just kind of pondering the question: what the hell is Jessica Andrade doing? What's the reason behind her decision making? Like, I don't understand why she would take this fight. Why she would take this fight with Mackenzie Dern in the current position she's in her career. She's been overly active this year. She's fought, I think, four times this year, and three of those four fights have not gone well. And I think if you're in a position where you're on a losing streak of three fights and you're getting finished in all three of them, and finished every 3 months at that, it's time to start reevaluating and maybe just sitting back, chilling, and just take a break. Like, Andrade doesn't have to fight right now. She could take the rest of 2023 off and just think about what she needs to do with her career and just focus on improving herself. Because fighting again every 3 months after losing is actually not helping her. When she lost her belt to Wei, she took a break for almost a year. It wouldn't have been a year if it weren't for the pandemic delaying the second Rose fight, but she took a long break. She was supposed to come back in April the following year, came back in July. A lot of time, and we saw what happened with that time off. She reassessed things. She worked on what needed to be worked on, like her striking defense, just fighting a little more patient. And we've seen those improvements shine in the second Rose Namajunas fight. Like, she was improving herself, like she was preparing to beat Rose more convincingly, or like preparing for a potential Zhang Weili rematch. So that layoff, that time off was good for her. But then coming back again so damn soon, I don't get it, man. I don't understand why she's doing this. But I highly doubt that it's gonna go well. I really don't. Yeah, at this point, I gotta favor Mackenzie Dern to beat Jessica Andrade. Because I know Dern. I mean, yeah, she doesn't really have the footwork or the boxing that Erin Blanchfield displayed in their fight, or the footwork that Suarez displayed. But still, Mackenzie Dern is younger. She has a fresher chin. She's taken less damage. So I believe in this fight, she's going to be more durable. Both hit hard, but we know Dern can crack. And we know that Andrade's chin now can be cracked, as we saw against Yan Xiaonan. And we've seen that Jessica can also be submitted. And I know that Dern's submissions haven't been working for her lately. Like, she couldn't sub Hill, couldn't sub Xiaonan and Marina on the ground. But honestly, I can see her just getting this fight to the ground one way or another, whether it be through a takedown or pulling guard. And when I envision the finish, I see Dern getting like an ankle lock or something on Jessica, and Jessica tapping, like a similar submission that she got when she fought. So was it Sam Hughes? Let me look up the record of Mackenzie Dern here to see who she submitted like that. I think I got the right fighter though. So whenever this thing. Okay. No, Hannah Cyphers. Never mind. Yeah, I see her getting a finish in the exact same way. I think that Andrade and Dern, They're going to get in a slugfest. I think Mackenzie's going to go out there, trade with Jessica, um, and she might take her fair share of good shots, but she will take those shots and she's going to dish it back just as hard. And at this point, I don't know if Andrade is going to be able to take it. And then Andrade might do something stupid like follow Dern to the ground when Dern slips, because Dern can be pretty clumsy. And then Dern's going to catch her in a sub off her back. Or Dern just might knock her out as well. But yeah, it's going to be another finish loss for Andrade. Bad idea. Like, I understand being a company woman. I know Andrade will fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, and she never says no to a challenge. You know, when she was the champion, she accepted a fight with the number 7 girl, Zhang Weili, just to give China a headliner. But there comes a point in your career where you can only say yes so many times. And sometimes you have to be willing to just say, no, I'm not going to take this fight. Like, look at Rose Namajunas. I don't agree with her declining fights, but she felt that she wasn't ready to come back. She took the time she needed and she declined that what was offered. Jessica Andrade right now could take the rest of the year off and just chill, reassess, reevaluate. Stop coming back every 3 months against these big names. It's just not working for you. But Andrade really isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. And she never was the sharpest tool in the shed. Never made the brightest decisions in her career. I don't fault her for taking the Erin Blanchfield fight because obviously she wanted to. Obviously, who would have headlined if Jessica didn't step up, or who would have replaced Santos, right? So Jessica needs to step up on that one, actually. But I think she should have turned down the Tatiana Suarez matchup. Although it was good for Tatiana's career that she got that opportunity and she got to fight, it wasn't what Jessica Andrade needed at this current time. And she got herself finished for a third time this calendar year. So, yeah, I just don't get it. But another thing I actually want to talk about, I didn't title it in this video. I might go back and edit the title a bit later. But we got Chitara and the Venezuelan Vixen with a good back and forth currently. So Juliana Pena absolutely flames Mayra Bueno Silva to death. She's like living up to your nickname, Chitara, back to being a curtain jerker of the Apex card. You fought two 41-year-olds this year, and you had to cheat in order to get it done. Can't pass a drug test? Keep my name out your mouth, you dumb broad. Juliana came for blood with that statement, but Mayra claps back. And Mayra's like, I'm sorry that you can't read, but you saw it and I were very clear that there was no cheating. I think you call me dumb, but you are showing everyone else that you are. Don't worry. Good news. I won't be out for long, and and your head will fit perfectly in my new case. See you soon. All right, so decent response from Chitara. So I guess maybe she's not going to be suspended, and maybe her win over Holly won't be overturned. But still, when you fail a drug test, it doesn't matter what the case was, what excuse or defense you have, that sits with your career forever. Like, you're going to the grave with that. You're going to the grave with a failed drug test. So I'm sure if these two fight and there's like a press conference, Pena is just going to keep bringing that up. She's going to keep mentioning, hey, at least I don't cheat. You failed the drug test. And really, what can Chitara say? Like, oh, well, I just took ADHD meds, so I wasn't cheating. It's like, no, you broke the USADA protocol and you paid the consequences. So, yeah. And I'm sure the meds that she took, they may not have helped her physically, but I'm sure they helped her brain, like helped her stay concentrated. They might have given her an advantage in that kind of sense. But I don't know if Mayra's really telling the truth or not, but if she's working things out with USADA, then she might be good. But moving on now to a different topic. So Zhang Weili, we just saw her absolutely dismantle Amanda Lemos. Saw her absolutely destroy Amanda this Saturday. Like I knew she would. Just absolute utter domination. Destroyed her everywhere, on the feet, on the ground, light work. And her performance over Lemos just made this Tatiana fight all that more exciting. Watching Suarez and Wei Li both win and dominate in the span of 2 weeks in the same month, it's only fitting that this fight happens next. Um, and I understand that, yes, Jan beat Jessica first. She's ranked higher. The UFC wants their China versus China matchup. I get it. I know. But the matchup itself, if you really think about it, would you really be more excited to watch Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan? Would you rather see that over Weili versus Tatiana Suarez? Ask yourself that. I'm going to put up a poll on the community tab when I'm done this live, but would you rather, would you really much rather watch Weili easily beat up on Yan? Because marketing wise, yes, the fight's good for business because you got two Chinese fighters fighting each other, and maybe they'll fight in China in December. But I mean, that's a warm up fight for Weili just to get Suarez fight. And Tatiana's not going to fight Dern now because Dern's fighting Jessica Andrade. So Dern is going to wait. No, I can't say that because she's not fighting Suarez. She'd have to fight Suarez to be in a custody battle over Jessica. But still, she's fighting Andrade to see if, I don't know. She's fighting Jessica, and I'm going to see how she performs against Jessica compared to how Tatiana did. And then I can give an even better assessment on that matchup. But it seems like right now, what's next for Dern is either going to have, or for Suarez, is either going to have to be Yan Xiaonan or the title shot. And nothing is guaranteed in this business. I can easily see Tatiana skipping Yan. And if they cannot get the UFC in China soon enough, I'm sorry, they're going to have no freaking choice. They're going to have no choice but to make Weili versus Suarez next. It's just more interesting. Like Suarez brings a unique, stylistically imposing threat, with her dominant wrestling. Everyone knows what she wants to do. No one can stop it. But Zhang Weili, right now, Suarez is an unstoppable force. Weili is an immovable object. Weili's the champion. She's been so for a long time, 4 years on and off, 2 losses, but regained the belt and has like 4 title wins now, I believe. Let me see. Jessica, Joanna, Carla. Yeah, 4 title wins, 4-2 in title fights. She's crushed everyone in her path other than Rose Namajunas, and she's getting better every fight. We know Weili can not only just strike and knock your head off, she can wrestle, and she's strong as shit. So that's going to be a clash of the Titans, and it's going to be so interesting to see how these two style-wise will match up against each other. How will Suarez deal with the well-roundedness, the striking, the power, and the grappling, the strength of Weili versus how is Weili going to handle the dominant wrestling of Tatiana Suarez? Is she going to be able to stifle Suarez's wrestling and batter her on the feet? Is she going to be able to maybe engage the wrestling like she did to Carla and beat her at her own game? We won't know till the fight happens, but that's the next biggest fight you can make at strawweight. I was originally saying it would be Rose versus Weili 3, but honestly, that fight, it's happened twice. That fight used to be all the rage back when Weili first won the belt in 2019. Like for 2 years, I was waiting for that fight, hoping it would happen, hoping that Rose would get through Jessica to earn that shot at Weili. Because there was the unknown, you know what I mean? Weili had just got through Jessica, then she had to beat Joanna, and then after she beat Joanna, it's like, okay, Rose is the legacy fight. It's like that was a match made in heaven. You could tell Rose versus Weili was one of those fights that was meant to happen because both now shared common opponents, Jessica, and Joanna, you know what I mean? So it made perfect sense, and it was interesting at the time to see how Rose would deal with the power, the ferocity, that is Zhang Weili that she brings to the table, and then how would Weili deal with like the length and elusiveness and a high level skill that Rose brings to the table. And we found out with both those fights. Rose beat her both times. The second one was close. I feel like there could be room for a trilogy, but it doesn't have to happen. That fight, it's played out, it's ran its course, it's died out. And now that Suarez is back and she's actually relevant and active, I'm not trying to shade Rose, but she's active in a top 5 strawweight and undefeated. I feel like now that's the fight. That's the fight that I think has more hype now. First, Rose versus Weili. Now I got that out of my system. Now it's Zhang versus Suarez. You know, any hardcore MMA, WMMA fan always wanted Rose versus Weili before it happened. And now any hardcore WMA fan is dreaming of Weili versus Suarez, not Weili versus Xiaonan. People are just saying Xiaonan should be next, deserves it more. Which, does she really? You know, like, who cares? Like I said, nothing in this business is guaranteed. And on paper, in reality, in actuality, matchup wise, Zhang and Suarez is the bigger fight. It's like Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang levels of hype. Do you guys agree, chat? Let me read these comments. I'm worried about Alexa, but I hope she knocks Val the fuck out. We'll see. I'm a bit worried too. You know, I'm not overconfident. I'm just confident because I keep that faith, but I think she'll win. Weili ain't gonna be able to maul Suarez on the ground like that. People are crazy underestimating Tatiana. Exactly. You know, Tatiana, she's one of those fighters that I see proving so many people wrong. Like, she's undefeated. Everyone isn't convinced that she's all that, and a lot of people think she's overhyped and soon to be exposed when she fights the champion. But I think that she's just gonna pull a Sean O'Malley and just rise to the occasion and prove people wrong, and she's gonna live up to the hype. Like, I'm gonna pick Tatiana to beat Weili. Now, I'm not overconfident. I'm not counting Weili out. Oh, excuse my drawer. Yeah, my background's messy, but I'm not counting Zhang Weili out. Weili's the champion. She's got experience. She can totally win. But I just think if anyone right now poses the biggest threat to Weili to date, it's Tatiana. And I think she's got the perfect style to get it done. And I'm going to predict it because I think she can go out there and out wrestle Zhang Weili. She can take her down, and I think she can hold her down because Weili Zhang does not get up from takedowns. And Rose was able to keep her on the ground. Uh, and Weili's takedown defense, I mean, it is getting better, but everyone has good takedown defense until they fight Suarez. So we'll see, but I got Tatiana. I could be wrong, but I picked Rose Namajunas to beat Zhang Weili twice. And even though right now I would favor Weili to win that fight against Rose, at the time, from what I saw, the styles and how they matched up and where Rose's mindset was at the time, I just knew she was going to beat Weili those 2 times. And everyone doubted my pick and thought I was crazy and biased. And now they're saying the same thing about Tatiana. But I feel like I know what I'm talking about here. Not to be arrogant, because I do respect Weili. And I do think it's gonna be a tough fight. It's definitely gonna be one of the bigger tests of Tatiana's career. But Tatiana, man, she's got that dog in her. She's got that heart. She beat cancer. She battled a bunch of injuries. I don't think there's anything Weili can do to her that she hasn't. I don't think there's anything worse Weili can do to her that she hasn't already faced in her life that was bad, if that makes sense. I'm okay. Jessica's getting old. She can't do anything about that. They're younger and better and hungry fighters. Yeah, yeah, I agree. She's 31 years old, but still, it's not always about age that makes a fighter washed up. Like, every fighter ages differently. It's also about miles on the clock, and Jessica has a lot of mileage. Andrade has taken so much damage throughout her career, so many hard training camps for so many big fights, fought so many big names all around the world. And I feel like now that's kind of taking its toll on her. And I just feel like the activity, I feel like, is actually sort of being her downfall. The fact that she keeps fighting every 3 months against tough, dangerous opponents is really working against her. The fact that she's not taking time to better herself is, I mean, I do think she'd still lose a good majority of these fights, but with more time and proper preparation, she'd have a much better chance against any of these girls, you know? But she's not giving herself that chance. She's straining her body by constantly bouncing back between camps and taking the damage that she's taken. And we're seeing it in her performances. Like, she goes out there, she looks lost. Like, and doesn't look like she knows what she's doing out there, and she just gets absolutely handled. And as much as I've given Andrade crap and kind of held my grudge on her for what she did to Rose, that slam, I feel a bit bad for Jessica Andrade. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really don't want her to take this fight with Dern. I really wish she would have said no. Like, for her career and her sake, she should have said, I'm just gonna take the year off and chill. But whatever. It's her choice. I mean, if she can get the job done, good on her. But if she loses, man, she might end up getting cut. Or she might have to consider retirement. DJC Combat, who remembers when Andrade brutally slammed Rose? That was CGI that never happened. That was a fake fight. I don't know what you're talking about. They fought once and Rose beat her. I'm just kidding. I'm coping. Dern gonna have a field day. Dern's gonna beat Jessica, man. I said this earlier in the video, but a lot of you weren't here. I said that just how these two match up against each other, even though Dern is just as sloppy as Jessica, if not maybe more sloppy, and she's there to be hit, she has a way fresher chin. She's taken a lot less damage compared to Jessica. So I feel like she'll have a better chance taking the shots of Andrade, whereas when she hits Jessica, I don't see Andrade having that good of a reaction. And Andrade got submitted twice this year. Imagine an 80cc black belt like Dern, even though she couldn't submit some other girls that she should have been able to submit. I really see her tapping out Jessica. And I said earlier in this video, it's going to be a leg lock that she's going to get her with. They're going to have a scrap on the feet. They're going to go back and forth. Dern's going to pressure her. They're both going to hurt each other. But then Dern, because she's clumsy, is going to fall on the ground. And Andrade, because she took some shots, is going to be like, you know what? I need to settle down, and I want to be on top of her just to slow the momentum so I stop getting hit, and then she's going to get subbed. But if she lets Dern up, Dern's just going to keep coming at her. She's going to keep applying pressure, and she might just be able to damage Andrade up on the feet, and maybe even score knockdowns too. Like, the problem with Andrade is her chin isn't what it once was. Her submission defense isn't what it once was. Her will isn't even what it once was. Like, I really don't think Andrade's heart is where it used to be. Like, Andrade used to have a lot of heart. Now it's like her will gets broken in these fights easily. She checks out easily the moment she faces adversity. Whereas back in the day, you know, she got out of the Gedalia guillotine. She hardened her way out of that, even though Gedalia didn't have it, you know, secured properly like Suarez did. Still, Gedalia is a high-level jiu-jitsu black belt, and she was able to power her way out of that. She fought off the armbar of Rose. She survived being dropped by Rose Namajunas and got up, took her licks from Joanna and kept coming and trying to win all 25 minutes. I don't think Andrade today could do that now. Like, the Andrade of now, if she had to face that version of Rose in the first round, she's getting finished, man. And would probably tap to Gedalia's guillotine. Like, Andrade is washed, but at the same time, she's also just fighting better girls. You know, she's finally fighting girls with skill, and her days of being able to get away with being powerful and athletic, it's behind her now, you know? But she's unable to up her skills, and she's not taking any time. So the more active she is and the tougher fight she keeps taking, the more she's going to keep getting finished. Someone should be telling her to take a I missed that comment from Lil Ray. Someone should be telling her to take a break unless she is in debt in Brazil with the Brazilian mafia. Yeah, I know. It's like, is she this active, like, or something? Like, I don't understand. Maybe what Jessica's trying to do is chase the bag as many times as she can this year and then call it a career. Maybe this is her way of checking out, and maybe she'll retire after this Dern fight. I don't know. But I mean, Andrade used to not be this freaking active. I remember Andrade, even when she was in her winning days, would like take at least 4 or 6 months between fights, you know? Suarez had only 2 fights in 2 years. Yeah, but two really good dominant fights though. Lemos' ground game was exposed, and any good grappler will beat her. High Five thinks otherwise, though. He thinks that Lemos would beat Suarez. When is Irene fighting? I don't know. Andrade is getting fucked up all the time. I know. Whaley can knock Suarez down if Suarez rushes in for the takedown. That's true. You know, Whaley did drop Lemos rushing in and being sloppy, but Tatiana is a little bit more deceptively hard to hit. And she's a lot more patient now than she used to be. Like when she was younger, like pre-injury run, she used to force things, force takedowns, spam takedowns. She was just so uncomfortable on her feet. You know, now her striking is better. She lets things flow from her takedowns. And even when she's on the ground, she's not trying to force ground and pound. It's like she's just working her way into more dominant positions until she's able to catch you making a mistake and get a sub. Like Suarez, if her and Carla fought today, I think Tatiana would finish her faster this time because she wouldn't just be trying to pound her head off. She'd be like thinking her way through and actually like get a submission within like a round or two. During got them cheeks, I know. DJ, what's up? CHNNN. Lemos would not beat Suarez. Stop it. I know. That's such a terrible take, bro. Like, how the hell would Amanda Lemos win that fight? Like Whaley, I can see it. Even though I favor Tatiana, I can totally be wrong about that one. I'm taking a big risk picking Suarez to win that. But Lemos, I mean, you just watched her get like mauled by Whaley. And High Five's logic was, well, Whaley's more well-rounded and has the striking to set up her takedowns, and Lemos is a neck hunter like Suarez. And I was like, but Tatiana doesn't need her striking to set up her takedown. She'll just go in there, get a takedown anyway. And when I had a dream about that fight a few days ago, how the fight went is exactly, it's kind of similar to how the Whaley fight went, actually. Like Tatiana, both of them were patient. And then Tatiana caught a kick of Lemos and then took her down in my dream. That is exactly how Whaley took her down. And I'm damn sure that Suarez could do the same thing, but probably get a finish. Like to beat Tatiana, you have to be extremely well-rounded. Like Whaley, it will take someone like Zhang to beat Suarez. Dern would have a decent shot. But yeah, Lemos definitely going to be the one. Most likely man, and if Whaley gets past it. Lemos versus Zhang was close. Oh, hold on. So she has much better BJJ, which makes her more dangerous than Carla, and she's bigger. Yep. I feel like if she gets overwhelmed, then she'll be quickly taken down back to her old ways. I think Tati and Carla are similar in their approaches, but Tati is obviously a much better fighter. Exactly. She has much better BJJ, which makes her more dangerous. Exactly. And she's bigger. That's true. And one thing I keep saying about Whaley Suarez is the way that that Whaley was able to engage the wrestling with Carla. Like she was able to, once she stuffed takedown, she was able to stay glued to her and scramble and get reversals and stuff and, you know, go for takedowns of her own. She could do that because Carla is much smaller. Tiana's big, strong, imposing, harder to take down. And if you try to take her down, I feel like Tatiana can just use that against you and reverse the takedown and get her own takedown. And I feel like that's just not a risk that Whaley's going to want to take, you know? Like she ended up on bottom against Carla. If she ends up on bottom against Tatiana, she's getting controlled. And I also think that Whaley would tire out in that fight as well because all that active wrestling against Rose is why she faded in the late rounds. And if Suarez forces that kind of fight on her, and if Weili doesn't get an early finish in that kind of fight, she's going to get exhausted. And I feel like there's going to be a lot less resistance coming back from Weili if they hit like rounds 4 and 5. Tatiana versus Zhang 2024. Yes, that's the fight. That's the dream. It's gonna happen. We're gonna get that fight. We got Weili versus Rose. That was my dream fight. I'm gonna get my second dream fight, which is Weili versus Tatiana Suarez. It will happen. Most likely, Mason, if Weili gets past the end. Oh, please. Please. It's not even a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Like, when I was confidently picking Weili to beat Lemos, I had a bit of my worries because I know Lemos has power. I know all it takes is one, and her jiu-jitsu is good. She almost had a good guillotine on Weili. But what does Jan have to offer? There's nothing scary about her at all. She finished Andrade, but that's because Andrade is dumb and ran forward carelessly with no defense. Weili doesn't fight like that. So she's got no KO threat, no ground game threat. She's not going to outstrike Weili. She's not going to outpower her. She's not going to out wrestle her. She's not going to stop her takedowns. She's food for Weili. So when she gets past Jan, if Jan is the roadblock that's in Suarez's way, then we'll get Weili versus Suarez. So hopefully they just get over with Weili Jan in December in China, and then Tatiana like just sits out till maybe the spring, and then we get Weili versus Tatiana in the spring. Suarez would submit Jan. Oh, without a doubt. Thoughts on Sean O'Malley? Oh yeah, it's part of this title. Sean O'Malley is, hold on, let me read this. If Jan gets the upset, I'm gonna be mad because I don't think she'll make a good champ. I don't want someone who gets mauled by Carla of all people to be champ. Exactly, because we saw what happened to the last person who lost to Carla become champion, Rose. So yeah, although I don't think Jan and Carla will rematch, and if they do, Jan won't shit the bed like Rose. But anyway, back to Sean O'Malley. I think Sean is a great fighter. And I'm so glad that O'Malley rose to the occasion and he proved everybody wrong. You know, I wish I picked him to beat Sterling. I had Sterling winning. But one thing I did say before the Sterling fight is I just have a feeling that Sean is not going to go out easy and it's going to be a tough fight. And I said, Sterling, he's going to take his fair share of good shots and he's going to have some adversity against Sugar. And he's not just going to go out there and have an easy Sandhagen-esque performance because, that's been played out before. And O'Malley comes from a good camp. I knew that he would be very prepared. I knew that he would be super prepared for Aljo's pressure style, back take, backpack style. So I just knew it wasn't going to be that simple, I knew that O'Malley's takedown defense would be there. So when the fight went the way it did before the knockout, I wasn't surprised. I'm like, okay, Sean stuffed the first takedown. Aljo's having a hard time finding his range to get in without getting caught. And then after one takedown attempt in round 2 that was easily defended, Aljo made a mistake and he got caught. And Sean proved that he's not all hype, man. He's the real deal, and now he's the champion. For years, he told us all that he was going to be the champion, and we all laughed at him. I didn't believe it. A lot of us didn't believe it, but here it is. And of all people, he beat the worst possible style matchup for himself to become the champion. And I couldn't be more happier, and I forgive him for robbing Peter Yan. I forgive him because look what it led to. He slept Aljamain Sterling, and that couldn't have been a more satisfying outcome because I was just so over Aljo being the champion. I hated how he became the champ and how he sort of fluked his entire title run. I'm like, bro, someone needs to get rid of him. Jan should have done it in the second fight, somehow flopped that. TJ couldn't because he showed up injured. So Hudo fumbled that. And I'm like, man, he can't keep getting away with this. So I was praying hard that O'Malley was going to be the one to do it, and he did. So thank God. although it's not out of the realm of possibility that Peter Yan could have, I just don't know if Yan would have just straight up sniped him the way that Aljo or that O'Malley did. But in hindsight, we all underestimated how tough of a matchup Sean was for Aljamain Sterling, because we all didn't take into account that, yes, even though he got taken down a lot by Jan, that from there he's only going to build on his takedown defense, be even better with takedown defense. And he's one of the taller opponents that Aljo's ever fought, with a huge, not just striking advantage, but a boxing advantage with tremendous power and counter ability. And Aljamain Sterling, the way he fights, it works on a lot of like guys his height or shorter. You know, that wacky, crazy funk style, that high output style combined with his grappling style. It works on others, but we all didn't realize that that's not going to work on Sean. He's not Sanhagen, and he's not these other midgets that Sterling's fought, you know? So Sterling wasn't going to go out there and be able to like get away with his wild striking to set up his takedowns against a boxer like Sean. And he wasn't going to be able to easily have his way with him on the ground or with the takedown. So let me read these comments. Merab will beat Sean. Ilya beats Volk. Sterling lost that fight before it started. Yeah, dude, Sterling looked nervous, man. Aljamain Sterling looked nervous, you know, when he came out. Like, it was just one of those nights where you just can kind of tell a fighter's going to lose. Like, even though I picked him, I could just sense this energy, like the upset vibes were in the air. I'm like, looking at Sterling, he's going to lose this fight. Even in the fight, he looks scared. Like I got those same vibes from Rose versus Sang 1, like in Whaley's entrance and introduction. I just knew that Rose was knocking her out. With Pena Nunes 1, I just knew, just looking at Amanda, I knew that she was going to lose somehow, and it happened, you know? And I sensed the same thing with Rose Joanna 1 as well. Like sometimes you can just tell. Uh, no cholesterol. Yeah, I don't know if Ilya beats Volk, and Merab and Sean. I'm going to get into that. Merab could be a bad matchup for O'Malley, but I think O'Malley could win that because, you know, he dealt with the wrestling of Piotr, and from there, you know, he's only improved it. And I think Aljamain, even though his wrestling isn't as good as Merab, I still think that with Sterling, he has more of a finishing ability when he gets you to the ground. There's more to worry about when Aljo grabs you. Whereas Merab, he takes you down. He can't finish you. He doesn't finish you. He just spams takedowns just so you can get back up, and then he can just hug you against the cage. And that style, you know, it worked on Jan, who is a slow starter and needs time to think before he can figure out his plan of attack. Couldn't get going against a pressure guy like Merab. And it worked on Jose, who was his energy and being too passive. And it worked on Moraes, who's washed and has no gas tank. And it's worked on a bunch of other cans that he's been up against. But Sean, I don't know, man. If he can't hold down O'Malley, and he's just going to try to hold him against the cage, O'Malley's going to be more active than other guys Merab's fought. He's going to have more output than Jan and Aldo. And whenever Merab is, you know, putting that pace on O'Malley, O'Malley is going to look to counter Merab. And if Moraes could drop Merab, imagine Sean O'Malley, but I think O'Malley would be able to better capitalize and finish Merab. But I want to talk about Sean O'Malley's title reign. How will he do as the champion? So he's right now underestimated. A lot of people think he's going to just lose the belt on his first defense, which is very possible. But I just feel like O'Malley's just one of those champs that, sort of like when Aljo became the champion, he's one of those guys that a lot of people are just going to overlook. And they expect the next contender coming up is just going to, you know, dethrone him. But it's not going to be the case. O'Malley's young, and he's getting better every single fight. He's already so dangerous with his striking. And, you know, the more he's improving with his takedown defense, he's going to be even harder to beat. I mean, I think, okay, so let's say let's go in order. I'm gonna skip like 10 and 9 because they're not gonna fight O'Malley. But let's say so Song Yadong, O'Malley beats him, picks him apart, outstrikes him. Rob Font, easy money for Sean O'Malley if they fight. Marlon Vera. So let's talk about that. That's a potential rematch. Marlon Vera and Sean O'Malley. The first fight was a fluke, and Marlon's not winning if he doesn't kill Sean's perennial nerve. I picked O'Malley the first time. He has such a clear stylistic advantage over Marlon Vera. Marlon is not going to knock out Sean on the feet. Okay, I know he knocked him out on the ground, but that's because O'Malley's legs were compromised and he fell to the ground. But O'Malley's not Dominic Cruz. He's not Pedro Munoz. And he's not Frankie Edgar. He's not Rob Font. You know, he's got a chin, but he's got defense. And I think he can just outbox Vera. Like, Vera gets hit a lot and he easily gets pieced up until he's able to get like a come from behind knockdown. But not happening to Sean. He's just going to stand there and shell up and look to land leg kicks. But I think O'Malley's leg kicking defense has improved since the first fight. So I think O'Malley easily outstrikes him to a decision, but I'd hope that he would knock Chito Vera out. Because I think Chito is extremely overrated. I'm sick of people glazing him and acting like he's that good when he's not. Um, and then Peter Yan, let's say these two run it back. I think he can beat Yan again. I think, I feel like if there's a rematch, there's more I see O'Malley improving on, like take down the fence. I don't think Yan would be able to just, win with his wrestling this time. I think O'Malley would defend takedowns, and the striking is always competitive, but I think O'Malley could outstrike him to a decision. And I think he can beat guys like Corey and Henry Cejudo. And Merab, I say, would be like one of his tougher fights and has the best chance of beating him. But if him and Aljamain run it back, which Aljamain wants a rematch, I think O'Malley's beating Aljamain again. I don't care what anyone has to say. Maybe Aljo won't rush, but it doesn't matter. He's not a better fighter. His only way to win this fight is if he can take Sean O'Malley down, take his back, and choke him out. But in the first fight, it's been established that O'Malley can defend his takedowns, keep his composure, keep that range on Sterling. I think Sterling every time is going to struggle to get in, to close that distance, to get the takedowns. And when he does get in, O'Malley will defend. And when they go back to striking, it's pick your poison for Aljo. Stay tentative and play the range, or rushed and get knocked out again. So I say O'Malley beats Sterling twice if they do the rematch. Now, honestly, I would pick O'Malley to KO Henry Cejudo as well, because I don't think Henry would be able to work his wrestling. And Henry, in his last fight, was very sloppy on the feet and leaving his chin up in the air. And come on, with a 5'4" guy like Henry Cejudo, who leaves those openings, you don't think a 5'11" Sean O'Malley would be able to capitalize? Like, come on. O'Malley kind of reminds me of like a bantamweight Israel Adesanya, like a tall, lanky striker who's very powerful for his skinny build, underestimated takedown the fence, and extreme confidence that a lot of people despise because they think he's so cocky. But he goes out there and he backs up his talk every time. And honestly, I think the Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley fight was like a Kelvin Gastelum fight for Sean. That was kind of like how Israel Adesanya was tested, against Kelvin, and then everyone thought that, oh well, when he fights Robert, who's better than Kelvin, well, Robert's going to destroy him, and then he went from going to war with Kelvin to dominating and sparking Robert in 2 rounds. And it's the same thing in this situation. Uh, O'Malley went to war with Yan in a questionable decision, and that made a lot of people think, man, if Yan could arguably beat him and get this many takedowns, imagine Sterling. But he went out there and he beat Aljamain easier than he beat Yan. Like, how good is this kid? How good is this kid, man? Now, even with the Adesanya comparisons, I don't think he'll be a dominant champion. Like, I'm sure there will be a loss sometime soon. I think he'll beat Sterling again. He'll beat Cheeto Vera easily. But guys that I could see potentially taking the belt from him is Marab. Corey would be very competitive with him. And he would have a chance, but I'm not too sure about that one. But I think that O'Malley has a good 2-3 defenses in him. Like I won't be surprised. But then Umar Nurmagomedov, if he gets active and can work his way in the top 5, I think that one could be interesting. Let me read these. Erin couldn't even get a takedown on JJ. I'm betting on the underdog Tala Santos, who has Erin fought, and her defense on the feet is bad. JJ was piecing her up. Tala throws looping punches too much for me. If it was Feb originally, then I would have kept my pick, but I think Erin is hungrier. Yeah, I went on a bit of a ramble about O'Malley and I missed some of the talk about this fight. Tala or Erin, DJ? I think I'm gonna go with Tala Santos to win this fight. I'm not overly confident, of course. Um, I could really see how Erin wins this fight, and I think the fight being delayed from February actually plays into Erin's favor because she's now had that experience fighting a top 3 fighter in her division, built her confidence, showed improvements in that fight. She's been active. My only concern for Talia is ring rust. She hasn't fought in a while. But on paper, I do think that Santos is a tough matchup. Very physically strong, hard to take down. And on the feet, I think Talis Santos could win. I mean, yeah, Erin did show improved striking versus Andrade, but people who always bring that fight up, they got to remember it doesn't really take a lot to look good on the feet against Jessica, especially today. Like Andrade for so many years has fought the same, just lunging forward with her chin in the air on a platter, swinging, looping hooks. It's just almost surprising to me that it took so long to figure that out. But Erin knew the assignment. All she had to do was use basic fundamentals and some side to side movement, and she easily won on the feet. But against Talia, I don't think it's going to be that simple because, with Santos, her boxing is easily better than Andrade. Uh, her arms are longer. She's taller. She has more reach. So she's going to have an easier time connecting more flush. She throws with better form than Andrade, more speed, more accuracy, and Erin was taking her fair share of damage against Andrade, despite winning on the feet. And I think Tala can land. And if she really had a hard time working her takedowns on Jessica, I can imagine a bigger, stronger Brazilian with better takedown defense can stuff some takedowns of Erin, reverse takedowns. And she could even beat Erin Blanchfield at her own game as well. But I'm not overly confident. I could easily be wrong. And there is a lot at stake in this matchup. Like I mentioned in this title of the video, this live, that there's a lot at stake. You know what I mean? For both careers, this is a chance for Erin Blanchfield to make a name off another big name in this division. And I think Tala beating Santos is a way better win than beating Andrade because honestly, anyone who's good at this point will finish Jessica. But Tala, that's the ultimate test. And with a win over Santos, then she can fight the winner of Grasso versus Shevchenko too. And just in case, even though God forbid this happens, if Valentina wins, we have a fresh opponent for Valentina if she's a 2-time champion and another potential big threat as opposed to someone that she already beat, a fight or two ago. Not to say that Santos couldn't beat Val in a rematch. I just think that Erin versus Valentina is more interesting. But then if Grasso wins and stays the champion, same thing regardless. Erin gets the shot. But it's also a chance for Santos to, come back, defend her spot, and earn her way back to another title shot because a loss here this weekend would be bad for Talas Santos. Coming close to winning the championship against Valentina and then, to have that setback from pulling out of the Erin fight, taking time off. And then to lose again 2 in a row, she would like need to go another mile just to get another title shot. So I think she's better off if she can win this weekend, then she can get a title shot 100%. And if Alexa wins against Valentina, Erin or Grasso versus Santos isn't looking too bad. Um, and I don't know who I want to win this fight. Like, I want Tala to win because I like Tala Santos, but I like Erin too. So I wouldn't mind Erin winning, and I wouldn't mind a fresh contender either. I wouldn't be mad. And Erin's cute as well. The crowd got too evil. Aljo was mentally defeated. You could tell. That's possible. That's very, very possible, man. Sometimes the crowd can have a mental effect on a fighter. Whaley said that she was thrown off by the boos and that killed her focus for the first Rose fight, which could be the case. And back then, when I was like at my peak at being a Rose simp, I refused to believe that could have been the case. I still think Rose would have won regardless that night because that night she just wasn't losing, but it still could have, affected her mentally before the fight started, you know? So it could have been the same for Aljo. I meant Umar submits Sean. Possibly. I would like to see Umar get back in there. He was supposed to fight Corey, and that fight would have been really telling. That fight would have given us a really good tell as to how good, um, how good, how good Umar is. And he would have probably been in a position to fight for the belt sooner. What if Sean reigns supreme on the division? It's not impossible. He's got a great chance to. If he beats Marab and let's say fights, honestly, I really don't see who could stop him. Really. There's no one in this division that he can't beat. He's not like unbeatable, but he can beat anyone you put in front of him. I felt bad for Aljo. The crowd was chanting F you, Aljo. Yeah, I felt bad too. Even as a guy who's not a fan of Sterling, I felt a little bit bad. It was unfortunate. But I'm glad that the crowd went on his side when he said that you guys, even the haters, should chase their dream. And I'm glad the crowd actually they accepted him after. Tala will win a close one. Yeah, she could. I could see it being really close. I feel like Tala Santos striking isn't as good as I thought. It was when I put more into it. It was when I put more thought into it. Yeah, I mean, her striking may not be that great, but her striking compared to Andrade, there's no way you can tell me that Jessica is a better striker than Tala Santos. Like, Santos would piece Jessica up on the feet too, and will probably drop her on the feet because Santos has crazy power. I agree with your Cheeto take. Thank you. Yeah, because a lot of people a lot of people dick ride Cheeto Vera and they act like he's a second coming of Jesus Christ. I mean, good for you. You beat Pedro Munoz. You're still not championship level, and you get smashed by the likes of Peter Yan, and you got exposed by Corey. And Henry Cejudo would have absolutely owned Cheeto Vera. Cheeto is just a punching bag with heavy hands and heavy kicks. And if he's lucky enough, he'll catch you, especially if you have a bad chin and can't take it. Yeah, but Tala has power on the feet. I'm just reading these comments. That's why we say styles make fights. She did that against Tatiana Suarez, but Suarez isn't there to knock you out. She's there to sub you and wrestle. Henry's 3 foot tall. But yeah, either pick isn't bad for this fight. With either pick isn't bad. With Erin and Santos, they can both win. They both have passed the victory to win this fight. It's possible that Erin could work her takedowns on Tala Santos. It's possible that Tala Santos might not be the same that she was in the Val fight, given the damage she took and the time off. Maybe it could be one of those things where it's just meant to be and Erin just wins because it's just her time. Who knows? Erin versus Grasso, who would win? Um, Erin, unfortunately, and I always pick Alexa Grasso to win that fight, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if Alexa would be able to consistently defend all the takedowns. And Erin has a better finishing ability on the ground than Valentina does. So if they hit the mat, she might be quicker to find a finish. She could get a submission. So who knows? I mean, on the feet, Grasso destroys her. But can she consistently defend takedowns for 5 rounds? I don't know, and I don't think she can submit. Uh, I don't think she could submit Blanchfield. But ride or die, I'm always riding for Alexa, so I'd back her no matter what. But realistically, Erin probably wins that fight. I honestly think that either Santos or Erin would beat Alexa, but Alexa can beat anyone else in the division. I think it's just the two grappling heavy fighters that are like nightmare matchups for Alexa Grasso because we saw what Valentina Shevchenko did, and her wrestling isn't half as good as Tala or Erin. And Erin and Santos are the only two girls who can take down Grasso consistently and impose their ground games on her. But the Rose versus Manon winner might be next. OMG, if Valentina wins, I'm gonna cry for real. That would be flyweight would be lame all over again. I know, man, but if Erin wins and Valentina wins, Erin's finishing her ass because if she takes down Valentina, she's wasting no time. She's not just going to take her down and hold her back like Santos did. She's going to take her down and strangle her like Grasso did. So her second reign ain't going to last. Don't worry. And the women's flyweight top 5 is so stacked. You got Manon, Erin, Santos, and Rose is going to add herself to the mix. And I mean, if Rose beats Manon and Alexa Grasso beats Valentina again, Rose could easily get herself a title shot at women's flyweight. That's why I think it's important that both Namajunas and Alexa win, because even though I do favor Manon to win this fight, if Rose is to beat, if she's actually going to win this fight against Manon, the title shot is there, and she has a chance to like avenge her friend Valentina if Valentina loses twice. And Namajunas versus Grasso would be a good ass fight. Two high level women's MMA boxers going at it. And, it's possible. I didn't think it was possible a year ago, but it could be now. You never know. Nah, I think the winner of Erin Santos should be next. I agree. I think they should be next as well, but you never know. Like if Manon wins, then the winner of this weekend gets the next shot, no matter what. But if Rose wins, because she's Rose and her popularity, her name value, she's got high chances to leapfrog either Erin or Tala, just given her star power, her name value. She's Rose Namajunas, a former champion. She's a fan favorite. So based off merit and marketability, it might go to Rose. Is that really confirmed, Mason? Or are you capping? Is Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena confirmed? Is it confirmed, bro? Did I just get an announcement dropped on my live? Holy shit, dude. No way. Rose is not going to beat Manon. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she could, but it's going to be tough. Like, Manon can really fight. Really good striker, and she's bigger. Rose hasn't fought in a while, and you never know what Rose you're going to get. You're either going to get the world beater Rose or the I want my money back Rose that we got in the last fight. I stole that from someone else, by the way. Unoriginal, but still. So I don't know. I mean, she says this move to flyweight excites her and the Manon challenge motivates her. So maybe we'll see the best Rose we've ever seen, but it's tough, because Rose, even if she shows up at her best, like in her own division, she really does struggle to dominate really tough competition. Not to say she isn't good, she's great, but she's super competitive with Joanna and Wei Li in these rematches, and competitive with Andrade. And the only women she's able to dominate, is the likes of Hill and Michelle and Paige. But Manon is not those girls that she was able to dominate. And I reckon she'll be just as tough to deal with as Wei Li and Joanna and Andrade, Andrade in her prime. And Manon, the difference between Rose and Fiorot is Rose is a sniper with her striking ability. She looks for that one shot. She's not like a pot shot, or she'll throw combos, but combination punching isn't Rose's strong suit. She looks to move around, counter you, pop you with a jab. But with all that activity and output of Manon, like I can just really see her crowd defense that Rose is gonna have a really hard time like nailing Manon with a perfect shot, Like she might overwhelm Rose with just pure chaos. But I wouldn't count Rose out, She's physically capable. The skills are there. If she can slow the fight down and keep a lower pace striking match, she might be able to outbox Manon. We'll just have to see when it happens. The French chick is showing up to hurt Rose. Yeah, she is, because her mindset is better. Rose is talking about it's not godly to want to hurt people. Manon doesn't give a fuck, bro. Manon Fiorot's hungry. She's fighting in her home country, home crowd. And she's fighting a former champion. It's a huge opportunity for her. So she's going to make the most of it. And I think the best Fiorot's going to show up. So Rose better be ready. Umar versus O'Malley. That's a good fight. I said that too, Colostrum. Manon might get sniped. She could. That's true. She does have pretty poor defense, but Rose doesn't knock people out that often, Like, who's to say that she's going to have another Joanna 1 or Wei Li 1 moment against Manon Fiorot? And overall, Rose's kicks are very sloppy. They're very sloppy. Some of them do generate power, but for the most part, when she throws them, they don't look that powerful and they don't look all that good. Like, Rose's kicks are not consistently sharp. That's the problem with her. But I mean, if Manon gives her space and time to like properly think and set up, Rose might be able to properly find an opening. But I just don't know if Manon's going to give her that chance. But I can't say for sure. Like, anyone can win this fight. Andrade versus Zhang was like the least competitive fight since Nunes broke Ronda's face, right? That was like easy money. That was easy money for Zhang Wei Li. And I didn't even expect Wei Li to smoke her. In that fight, I don't even think I had an official pick for Andrade versus Wei Li, but I was hoping that Wei Li would avenge Rose, especially back when I was like, I still like Rose. Don't get me wrong, I'm still a fan, but back when I was like the peak of being a Rose simp in 2019, I was like, I hated Jessica's guts so badly, and I was praying to the MMA gods that Wei Li would just put one through her chin and knock Andrade out, and my prayers were answered. I cheered at like 9 a.m. in the morning when Wei Li fucked her up in like 42 seconds. I was like, yes! And I knew it could happen too, because I knew Zhang Wei Li was powerful and a good striker, and Andrade is always reckless. So I thought, if anyone is going to make Andrade pay for her reckless abandonment, it might be Zhang Wei Li. But I didn't know for sure at the time, because it was hard to tell how good Wei Li was, because she was unproven, untested against good fighters at the time. And Andrade was on a win streak, so it was tough to tell. But boy, I tell you, I was so happy. And from there, I immediately knew Wei Li was the real deal, even when people were still writing her off. Like I said, Wei Li's not all hype. She's going to stay the champion. And I said, she's going to be champ until she fights Rose. And if she doesn't lose to Rose, no one's stopping her. And she lost to Rose, but then when Rose lost, she's back again dominating. So all this time, I was right about Wei Li, and it always feels good to prove people wrong. Like, I've won so many arguments regarding Zhang Wei Li. It's not even funny. Like, I told everyone that after she beat Andrade, that she was here to stay and that she'd win her first defense against Joanna. Care, she won. And then I knew she'd lose to Rose, but then when she got the opportunity to get her belt back, I knew it would happen. We all knew it would happen. And when everyone thought Lemos was gonna get it done, I'm like, nuh-uh. Lemos ain't gonna be the one, and she wasn't the one. So yeah, I'm always right about Wei Li. I was right about her potentially being a future champion, defending the belt against Joanna, and right about her losing to Rose, and I'll probably be right about her losing to Suarez as well. Remember when CHS swore up and down Lemos was a bad match for Wei Li? Oh my gosh, yeah, that was so stupid. Oh, what's up, Jason Marshall? Erin has bad takedowns. Yeah, she kind of does. She kind of does. We saw it in the Andrade fight. Tatiana Suarez is obviously a better wrestler than Erin Blanchfield and better with her takedowns. And I said, if she's struggling to take down Jessica like that, imagine Tala. But let's go back to Coach Shelton Harrison. So yeah, he and a lot of people swore that Amanda was a bad matchup. And I told him for months, I'm like, bro, no. Like, a lot of people acted like Whaley was going to lose this fight because they thought that she was just an idiot that just brawls, a dumbass that just goes out there and brawls with no defense. Like, people viewed Wei Li as just a dumb brawler, and they thought that Lemos was going to be able to just go out there and out technique her and capitalize. But I'm like, no, Zhang Wei Li actually is a very good striker. I said she was a better striker than Lemos. I said that she's very patient. Whenever there's a threat of like power, she doesn't just go out there and get reckless. Like, she'll be patient. She'll pick her shots. Wei Li has underrated distance striking. So I knew that. But I also knew that Zhang Wei Li could wrestle. And I'm like, she'll outstrike Lemos when she needs to, but also completely dominate with the grappling. And I watched Coach Sheldon Harrison's live just to see his reaction to the fight. Dude was like so like biased with his live commentary on the fight. It was hilarious. And kept going on about how, oh, well, Lemos could have won if she did this, this, and that, like acting like Lemos beat herself more than Whaley beat her. But once again, DJC gets proven right, and I'm no stranger to proving Coach Sheldon Harrison wrong. I told him that Alexa was going to be champion and beat Valentina, and I told him that Amanda Lemos was going to lose to Wei Li. Zhang has high IQ. That's what I'm saying. They swear Wei Li is such a dummy. I know. They act like she's an idiot. Like, Whaley is a very smart and very tactical fighter. Like, yes, she brawled with Joanna and Jacek, and she got hit a lot in that fight, but Joanna and Jacek is just that freaking good. And Joanna is fast with her punches. It's hard to evade Joanna's punches. Like, she's gonna connect on you, no matter how good your defense is. So of course Zhang Weili got hit, but Joanna doesn't really have any power, so Weili was more comfortable going out there and going blow for blow with Joanna and chasing the knockout. Obviously, she's not dumb enough to do that against Lemos. And how I knew that Weili wasn't going to brawl with Amanda and be smart was the Jessica Andrade fight. When that fight happened, she wasn't going out there and going blow for blow. She took her time, let Jessica chase her. She was patient, and she found the counter. So I knew that it was going to be something similar with Amanda. No, I'm sorry that I came for you guys about these subjects. I've changed now. Uh and I can't believe I believed him in that, but CHS is a cool dude. Yeah, he is a cool dude. You know, we don't always agree on things. I try to keep it respectful because at the end of the day, we don't have to agree with each other, but we don't have to go at each other's throats either. So I've been like watching Coach's channel for like years since 2016. And guys like him and a few other YouTubers kind of inspired me to go on the YouTube scene. So maybe without Coach, there would be no DJC. Or that's not true. MMA Quick Hits. I don't know if any of you guys know who he is, but now he's on Patreon, no longer on YouTube. I think he kind of inspired me, and so did Full Time MMA, but he hasn't posted in a while. But I just knew that with my MMA knowledge and stuff like that and my passion for the sport, I figured it's about damn time I get my voice out there and start talking MMA. It's one thing to lose, but to get ragdoll like that is fucking embarrassing. Lemos needs to retire. Yeah, maybe she does. Grasso and Val going to be tough. I want them both to win. Well, unfortunately, there can be one winner. No, Zhang has evolved. Whaley has learned not to be a brawler without calculating the risk after Rose kicked Whaley in the face. Yeah, but I even think that if Lemos and Whaley would have fought like before the Rose fights, same thing would have happened. Zhang would have still been patient, and Zhang would have still mixed it up and grappled. And Lemos wouldn't be able to stop pre-improved wrestling Whaley's takedowns. Her distance management has evolved. Yeah, but her distance management was actually always pretty good. It definitely is getting better, but it's always been pretty underrated. Zhang also learned boxing movement from a boxer. Yeah, and one difference I notice about Wei Li too in her style is that her stance is different. Like, do you guys remember when she used to have that like open stance, her arms out, chin up, sort of, and she'd do that Sanchai hip dodge? Now she comes out with her hands up. I'm holding my phone in my hands, so I can't use two hands, but still, she comes out with both of her hands, like her guard up, chin down, and she no longer leg kicks with her lead leg. She always leg kicks with her rear leg. Those are some changes I noticed from Wei Li. Yeah, I noticed that too. Thoughts on Logan Paul versus Dylan Dennis? I mean, what's interesting about that fight is the buildup. Dylan Dennis is absolutely making a fool out of Logan Paul. And Logan just might want to lay low. If I was him, I would stop. Because Dylan has some dirt on him and his fiance. And I mean, every time Logan opens his mouth, like in the presser, Danish just keeps humiliating him, man. But as far as the matchup, Danis is a grappler, and I think Paul might be better as a boxer. I haven't really seen him box much. He's not like active in the boxing scene like Jake Paul, but I think Logan should be able to win on the feet if the fight does happen. So Logan Paul will probably win. But ahead of the fight, currently, Danis has Logan beat. Grasso looking jacked. Oh yeah, always in great shape. She looks so different now, like compared to now how she looked against Tor. Oh yeah, like the improvement she's making at the age of 34. She's gonna be like, wait, she already turned 34, right? Okay, never mind. She's gonna be 35 next year. Um, like she's getting older, but her progression is not slowing down. And this is one of the reasons why I'd favor her to beat Rose in a trilogy, to be honest. How much Wei Li has leveled up since those fights. And I feel like Rose, there's a lot of unknowns about her. We don't know if she's making improvements, doesn't have enough passion to make any improvements, and I don't know if Rose would be as motivated to beat Wei Li a third time as Wei Li would be to finally get Rose in the third attempt. So, yeah, Whaley right now is a mother effer to deal with. And I think if anyone right now is going to stop her, uh, it's going to be Tatiana. And if it's not her, no one can. But yeah, Whaley looks different, not just in her style, but her physique too. Like, Whaley looks even more bigger. And I kind of feel like Whaley sometimes fluctuates in her size. Like, she looked so much smaller in her UFC debut and her fight with Aguilar and her fight with Tisha. But then when she fought Jessica, she was bloated and jacked and buff against Joanna, and then smaller in the first Rose fight, and then the second Rose fight back to being big and jacked. And then her last few fights, she's kept that big buff physique. Trilogy fight won't be close. Whaley will stop her. Oh, facts. I really hope Ian Gary gets humbled soon. I don't like that guy. Yeah. The way he treated Magny was just disgusting. Yeah, like calling Magny an abusive father when Magny was just making a gentle analogy on discipline, and calling Magny a scumbag for disciplining his kid and saying that, oh yeah, my parents, they discipline me, but now I want to be a better parent to my kid. But it's like, with that logic, you're basically saying your own parents are scumbags for disciplining you. But yeah, his day will come to lose soon enough. But yeah, unfortunately, Neil Magny wasn't going to be the one to do it. I don't know if Jeff Neal will be the one to do it either, but anyone in the top 5 beats Ian Gary. Yeah, very distasteful. And I hate how he, like, after the fight with Magny, I understand pre-fight there's a bit of bad blood and banter, but when the fight's done, all of that stuff is over. It's time to settle down and give your respect and sportsmanship. And he just flips Magny off after the fight. That made me so mad. I felt bad for Magny. Like, he got disrespected in the lead up, and there was nothing he could do about it. Like, that must be like mental torture at its finest when another man disrespects you, but you can't make him pay. You know, that would suck. Rose is a nice guard, and yeah, she does. Yeah, Jeff Neal would have a good chance at beating Ian Gary. But I'm just not sure, man. Like, you look at their performances over Neil Magny, and I know MMA math doesn't work, but still, like, Ian completely outclassed Jeff Neal, and he's improving every fight. And for as much as we don't like him, he can fight, and he's good. Um, and Neil Magny loses to a certain caliber of fighters. Like, he lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov, and I knew he was going to lose to Rakhmonov. Um, he lost to Wonder Boy, and I think he'd struggle with the size, the height, and the length of Ian. And Ian might just be able to pick him apart. But I would hope that Jeff knocks him out, though. Yeah, I agree, Colstrom. That's what I'm saying. And Neil Magny or Jeff Neal sometimes can be very passive and struggles to pull the trigger, and he can't fight that way against. He just can't fight that way against Ian Gary. It's not going to work. Whaley went to training camp to help Whaley utilize the wrestling. Yeah, ever since Rose kicked her to another dimension and she started training with Cejudo, her wrestling went to another level. Like, it's insane. And now that's become like one of her biggest weapons. And that's what makes Whaley great, man. Like, she's so good at adapting and figuring out these different types of styles and using them effectively to her advantage. And she trained wrestling with Henry Cejudo for like only 3 months before the Rose fight, and she already got so good at wrestling. Like, she already mastered it. And then in her next fight after that, she got even better with her wrestling. So it's crazy. Kevin Holland versus Jack Della Maddalena is going to be a banger. Oh, totally. 2 knockout artists in the welterweight division going at it. I'm not sure how that one's going to go. laptop logged me out. Who are you picking between Kevin Holland and JDM? I got to think about that one. I got to watch more fights first before I can decide, because right now I have no clue in hell what's going to happen. Whaley is at Bangtao in Thailand, not fight ready. Henry hasn't done shit. Well, I mean, she was at fight ready for the Rose fight, which did improve her wrestling. But, when she went back to Thailand, she built from there, from the abilities that Cejudo already instilled in her. All right. Is Mason telling the truth about Pena versus Pennington? Because I'm on Instagram right now, and I'm trying to look for some news. I'm going to go on WMA rankings. They usually, WMA rankings hasn't posted anything about it. Let me check the UFC. I don't see an announcement from Dana White. Yeah, Mason was just pulling my leg. He lied. Damn it. Yeah, I don't know when the hell Juliana's coming back and when this fight's going to happen. But it will probably be on that card. She got the same coaches Volk works with. Oh, damn. Yeah, I mean, the coaches that Volkanovski works with really, really upped his grappling game. Like, they made his not his takedown defense better, but his submission defense better, his ground control even better. And yeah, the way Whaley was able to go out there and smother Lemos on the ground kind of reminded me of how Volk smothered Yair. Can Kat beat Cyborg if she gets her on the ground? No, I don't think so, because Chris Cyborg is impossible to control on the ground. I think Kat's going to really struggle to get her there, but when she does get her there, I think Cyborg's just going to get back up and is just going to batter her on the feet and get her own takedowns. And she'll do a lot of what Amanda Nunes was doing to Kat, in that first round, but without gassing out. Like, she'll be able to put a prolonged beat down on Kat Zingano. Now Connor talking ish to Tony, saying he's going to end the guy badly. My question to that is, why do you troll Ferguson at his weakest? Where was this energy when Tony was winning? Conor McGregor was silent then. Yeah, it's cowardice on Conor's part, man. Like, to just completely ignore Tony when he was in his prime on a winning streak, and when the fight made sense, when Conor was the lightweight champion and Tony was the number one contender and the interim champion. They ended up booking Khabib versus Tony, which they shouldn't have booked that fight. Conor should have been ready for UFC 223, but he knew, man, Tony was a dog. He didn't want that smoke back then, but now that Tony's washed and a can now, he knows how easy that fight is. Now he's so confident in taking time. Tony would do bad things to Conor. Did you see Bueno Silva get popped? Yeah, I did. I posted that on the community tab. That's crazy. That's crazy that happened. But apparently it was for ADHD pills. And when she replied to Pena's diss, when Pena completely slaughtered her, she said, "Oh, well, me and USADA are working things out right now, and it won't be gone for long. So maybe the Holly fight doesn't get overturned. Maybe, what was I going to say? And maybe she doesn't get suspended. But that is unfortunate, though, because Myra just had a great win. She's got momentum, and to end up failing a drug test and then having to be suspended, that's brutal. And Pena is within her right, to bash Myra Bueno Silva, because Myra did a lot of chirping. But like I said earlier in this live, before a lot of you got in here, when you fail a drug test, doesn't matter what the case is, what the excuse is, that sits with your career forever. You'll take that to your grave, and you will never be able to live it down. No matter what, Just look at TJ Dillashaw, John Jones, and other examples of people who pop for PEDs. Fans don't forget. And Pena can bring that up. If they have a press conference, she can be like, well, you popped for PEDs, you cheated. And there's really nothing Myra can say. There's really nothing she can say to that. Pena was calling her Chitara. I was calling her that earlier in this live too. That's a fitting nickname. In round 5, that crucifix she had Lemos was crazy. Yeah, I was hoping she was going to get that finish, man. I was annoyed. Could have been stopped in the 5th. Would have been a nice way to close out the fight. I'm tired of Chris's old ass. Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm sick of seeing her just can crushing Bellator, having these favorable matches handed to her on a platter. Like, yeah, I don't know. There's just no interest in watching her fights. There really isn't. Like, you know she's going to show up and win every time she fights, so. Ferguson responded to Conor saying, sign the dotted line. I wouldn't mind seeing Tony get his long overdue payday. I feel he really deserves it. I mean, I would mind it because Conor would destroy him now, but Weili knew wrestling will have a better chance of neutralizing a striker. Exactly. Like she said going in, be water, my friend. She went out there and was water, and she adapted, you know? And she took the path of least resistance. She took Lemos to where she was weak and where Weili was stronger. Can we all be real? UFC 292 was that good of a card. Was or wasn't? Because for my money, it was a terrible card. It was boring. Like, of all the pay-per-views this summer, this was the worst, you know? But the main event made up for it. And the co-main. Like, I enjoyed watching Zhang put an absolute clinic on Lemos and enjoyed watching Sean O'Malley fulfill his star potential and knock out Aljamain. But the card itself, like, Vera versus Munoz, boring. Bautista versus Blackshear was boring. Ian Gary versus Magny, it was frustrating to watch because Ian could have finished that fight and he took it lightly on him. So we kind of wasted our time putting us through 15 minutes of that crap. But UFC 290 lived up to the hype. Crazy fights, great finishes on that card. Depressing results, nonetheless, but still a great card. UFC 291 was amazing, except for Tony getting destroyed, except for Dustin getting head kicked, except for Pereira versus Jan being a boring fight. 290 and 291 live up to the hype, but yeah, UFC 292 was originally going to be good until we lost Cody, until we lost Jeff Neal, until we lost Henry Cejudo, and Font versus Yadong. That's when the card declined. She drunk the water, all right. Isn't that what Amanda Lemos said, though? That I'm going to drink that water when Weili said be water? The card was mid. Oh, yeah, she did say talking about drinking the water. Oh, yeah. She didn't just drink the water, she choked on the water. She drowned in that water, and she couldn't swim in that water. I think Ian just wanted Neil Magny to pay for what he said. He knew he could have finished Magny, but I think he wanted a guy to pay and basically teach him a lesson. Yeah, I can see that, like, just trying to embarrass him for 3 rounds and just punish him. But I mean, he's lucky he could do that to someone like Neil Magny. Like, against anyone else, there are certain fighters where you just can't coast like that against when you're dominating. There's certain fighters where you have to keep your foot on the gas or they're going to get back in the fight and they're going to make you pay. Like, Jeff Neal could do that to him because Jeff Neal has power. He's a better striker than Neil Magny, you know? He might take more chances than Magny would have, so... I went all over the arena on a rampage looking for Alex. Oh, yeah, I know you want... He's one of your favorite fighters, and you want to meet him. I kept telling people if Michelle Waterson can easily take Lemos down, Whaley will too. I said the exact same thing, and I also said that before the submission, she looked very average against Michelle. And I said if Whaley Zhang fights Waterson, how do you think that fight goes before Whaley gets a finish? That fight is absolute destruction. There's no competitive back and forth. It's Whaley kills her and then finishes her, like Rose Namajunas did. Zhang was talking shit in Chinese while she beat the shit out. She was like during the fight or after. I wouldn't mind seeing Matt Brown fight Ian Gary. Why? Don't you want Ian to lose? Like Matt Brown ain't gonna do anything unless you want to see like an easy win for Ian. Whaley would mutilate Michelle. Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100% she mutilate her. Let's read more of these comments. He couldn't do that with Jeff Neal. Maybe not, but hopefully they reschedule that. Do you know what Whaley was saying in that fight? And if not, how do you know she was talking crap? Michelle fights scared and Michelle fights scared, and a fighter like that is a feast for Whaley for sure. She was giving her the business talking shit in Chinese. She's a savage for that. But what did she say though? Like, how did you know she was talking crap? Like, do you know what she said? Was there like a translation? Do you understand Chinese? Oh, Wonder Boy. Yeah, that would be a good fight. He called Wonder Boy out. That would be a good test, but I think that Ian would probably beat Wonder Boy similarly to how Till did, just staying long, applying that pressure while being patient, working the legs. And Ian's a well-rounded fighter, so Wonder Boy, like I could see him grappling Wonder Boy Thompson, honestly. Well, Marshall, you ain't telling me what Whaley said, though. I really want to know what she said. Because I remember she called Lemos an easy fight after, which was easy, but Jason just talking. Yeah, I didn't see Whaley talking at all during the fight. Is you just doing all the talking with her fist and her elbows? Thompson has great stand up, and I believe he can Gary in this. He can beat Gary in the stand up department, but it's closer than what you think. It could be close. I'm not saying that Wonder Boy has no chance to win. Like, even though he's 40, the guy can still fight. Areas where he's mainly declined is just his defensive grappling. And I think that's where Ian could capitalize, and that's where he could win easier and make it less competitive. But on the feet, Gary could definitely struggle. But I would like to see that, yes. Did you think Lemos was going to get the choke in round one? I was worried, and she had it in. I was like, oh, shit. I was about to be right. Please don't tell me Amanda is going to get a lucky sub. But I did kind of have faith that Whaley was going to be able to get out of it. I stayed calm because I know how good Whaley is on the ground. So I was a bit worried, but I knew she could escape it. Whaley didn't say anything to Lemos during the fight. Yeah, she didn't. But yeah, I was worried too. That was very deep. That was in deep. And I think if Tatiana Suarez could have her in that position, It's staying in. I don't think Weili's getting out of that. An Asian girl said it to you behind you. Okay. Did the Asian girl know what she was saying, though? Weili fully respected Lemos after the fight. Yeah, she did. Man, and I hated the commentary in that fight. Like, the commentators, they're always so biased for an underdog. Like, Joe kept saying, oh, Weili's hurt. And they kept saying that Weili's getting tired, that she's gassing out. Like, yeah, Weili, was kind of slowing down a little bit, but she wasn't gassed in that fight. And what really annoyed me was when Weili threw a kick, Lemos missed a punch, and Weili slipped on her butt. And Joe said Lemos caught her and hurt her. I'm like, what the hell are you watching, man? I don't see O'Malley keeping the belt for long either. I got Cheeto Vera beating him. Nah, I don't think Vera's beating him. Vera's good against certain fighters like old men who can't take punches, or Rob Font who can't take big shots, or Pedro Munoz who's equally just as shit, and is there for pretty much anyone to beat at this point. But against a really good striker like O'Malley, if he's not getting his perennial nerve destroyed, is Cheeto going to go out there and take him down? No. Is Cheeto going to win on the feet? No. Is Cheeto going to knock him out on the feet? No. So I think O'Malley would tune him up for 5 rounds. Yeah, but that was 3 years ago, though. So much can change in 3 years, and I think O'Malley has improved since then. I think Merab would have a better chance. Aljamain Sterling in a rematch chance than Cheeto Vera. Merab, yes, I can see that because he's got really good wrestling, relentless pressure, and great cardio. He could tire O'Malley out. But yeah, Cheeto, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm underestimating him, but yeah, I don't see it. Lemos is very old. Yeah, that's another thing too. Like, she's no spring chicken. Like, she's 36, and people acted like she was the next big thing. It's like, I don't think so, man. Maybe she wasn't, and the Asian super fan was just being delusional. I don't know. Probably. Yeah, but people, they can avenge losses. They can improve. So, Dustin Poirier beat Justin Gaethje 5 years ago. Just because he beat him, did that mean he was going to win again? No. They were, Jason. Weili wasn't talking. Yeah, from what I saw, Weili wasn't saying anything. I didn't hear nothing from Zhang. Okay. I'm really looking forward to this weekend. It's actually a pretty good card. I did a video on it actually for UFC Singapore. I know it's going to be in the morning, but I wonder what time it's going to be in. Let me see. UFC Singapore. I'm going to go on ESPN.com. Let me see. They always show the fight time. Wow, so the main card is going to be 8 a.m. Damn. So 8 a.m. Eastern for myself. So I'm going to be getting up at 8 to watch this. What time is it going to be for some of you guys? I'm not waking up at 4 a.m. to watch all that shit. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Like, I know this is in Asia, but I wish they could somehow accommodate like the North American fans and just have them fight in Asia in the morning in Asia. Well, us fans over in North America can watch this fight at night. Dog, I'm gonna be at work. Damn. So how are you gonna solve that issue? Are you just gonna like avoid spoilers and stay off the gram or whatever? Or are you just gonna accept spoilers? Or are you gonna wait to watch it again later online? The prelims start at 5 a.m. Yeah, but what's on the prelims though? Like, is there anything interesting on the prelims? Nope, really, there's nothing good on the prelims. It's just the main card. Why isn't Blanchfield versus Santos the co-main event? Like, I don't understand Anthony Smith being the co-main event. I don't understand. I really don't. I don't think it makes much sense. He beat Span already. Uh, Span isn't that good. Anthony Smith is washed. Not co-main worthy. Erin and Tala, big fight for women's flyweight. Sorry, and a lot at stake. Yeah, prelims are bad. I don't care for Holloway versus Zombie. Fight should have never been made. Oh, definitely not. That's Zombie's just gonna get killed in that fight. Pointless matchup. It's just a free win for Max Holloway. No one cares about Anthony Weak Knees Smith. I know Mr. Turtle Up, take a beating, Anthony Smith. Mr. Fetal Position, Anthony Smith. I can't wait to hear what the internet got to say once Tala fraud checks Erin. It's going to be interesting because a lot of Tala Santos, man, I know Erin is good, but we don't know how good she is just yet. What if she's not as good as we all think she is? This fight with Santos is going to determine this for Erin. This will determine how good of a fighter is she. Is she worthy of fighting for the belt? Is she really a threat to Valentina or Alexa? We're gonna have to find it out this weekend, and I can't wait. They needed a reason to bring it to Asia. True, because last time they went to Korea, Zombie didn't. Well, they didn't go to Korea. They were going to, but Zombie pulled out. But they just aired that card on Asian Fight Time anyway for some reason. MMA what's up? If Erin beats Santos, I'm a fan. Well, I'm already a fan, but yeah, definitely it's time to start jumping on the Erin train if you're not there already. If she beats Santos. The only way Erin wins is a slick sub. Yeah, that could happen. I wouldn't rule out that chance. Yeah, but I'm not sure about Erin straight up having an advantage on the feet. I don't know if it's that clear like people think. That's why I want Holloway to move up after the zombie fight because he's proved himself enough at 145. It's more entertaining fights at 55. Holloway just about fought who's at 145 exactly, and he's never going to be champ again as long as Volk is here. So yeah, what's the point? The only point at staying in this division is that if Alexander Volkanovski is to move up and vacates featherweight, then he can be champ again. But other than that, there's really nothing left. She has no advantage on the feet. Yeah, she doesn't. Like I hate how people always bring up the Jessica fight. Like, oh, she outstruck Jessica, so she'll outstruck Tala. It's like Santos is not Jessica Andrade, man. Like Santos may not be that technically sound, but she's way more technical than Andrade. Like compared to her, she's better on the feet. It's obvious. And like I said, it doesn't take a lot to outstrike Andrade. With Santos, it's going to be a little bit harder. Don't forget, Erin turned down a fight with Val. She could have fought her in the summer, but she declined. Yeah, what an idiot. I don't know why she didn't take that fight. That was a bigger opportunity than fighting Talia. She could have fought a former champion. We didn't have to get this immediate rematch. We could have had Erin fighting Valentina. Maybe she could have won that and then fought for the belt instantly. So I don't know why she said no. Makes no sense. Even if Holloway becomes champ again at 145, who's he really fight? He's beat just about everyone in that division. What's he gonna do? Defend his belt against the? Yeah, I know what you mean. Like if he wins the belt, then yeah, he should probably still move up, unless there's like a new wave of like interesting contenders he hasn't fought before. He's already smashed Cater. He's already beaten Arnold. He hasn't fought Emmett yet, but no one cares. We know what would happen. He hasn't fought Ilya yet, but I don't know. I'm not interested in that fight. He already fought Rodriguez, so yeah, he's cleaned out the division essentially. Facts, DJ. I can see, yeah, I always speak facts. I can see Santos just out phys- physicaling her. Yeah, me too. She's definitely the stronger fighter, and people don't see that, but strength of Santos is definitely gonna help her when they grapple. And I will not be shocked if Santos beats Erin at her own game. And I don't know if it's fair to have Talis Santos as an underdog, honestly. I mean, maybe the odds are right, but it's yet to be seen. But my picks for this card is Santos, Jakadze, and Smith, and Holloway, and I guess we'll see what happens. Plus Holloway being champ again at 140. Oh, I already read that. He's beat every other contender. Yeah, I know. It's like, what else is there at this point? All right. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say before I sign off? I mean, I'm glad I got like, what, 10 views on here. Because I remember like first going live on my old channel, I was like struggling to get views. And I want to get like the premium version of StreamYard, so I can use other features, but it's so expensive. And like right now I just don't have the money to afford that. Just think about it. It's some very interesting fights for Holloway at 155. Justin versus Holloway is a good fight. Holloway versus Oliveira too. Holloway versus Chandler. Oh yeah, that's a those are bangers. Um, Gaethje, though, that's Holloway is going to take a lot of damage in that fight. For Holloway's sake, I don't know if that's good, but still a good fight. Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway too, another great fight because when they fought back in the day, like that wasn't even a fight. Like Oliveira just hurt his collarbone and then the fight was stopped. But now Oliveira is like massively improved. So is Holloway. Oliveira could probably beat him now, but I'd like to see it. Michael Chandler, that would be another interesting one. Like the explosive power and wrestling of Chandler versus the durability and the active pace of Holloway. Tracy versus Jasmine, who are you picking? I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna have to do more research on that fight before I can give my opinion. But aren't like they both grapplers or something? Yeah, Justin G hits like a truck. He would definitely give Max CTE. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I would not want to see that fight. Like the way he battered Tony Ferguson's face, that's how the Max fight would look probably. Although Max would have like more success than Tony still. It would just be Max like getting his face beat in for 5 rounds and Gaethje not slowing down, keeping a good pace, and just consistently touching Holloway up. I think Holloway can run through Chandler. Yeah, he probably would, to be honest. Like Chandler has like one good explosive flurry in the first round, and then he just kind of slows down. And if he doesn't finish Holloway early, he's not keeping that pace. And I don't think he can wrestle Holloway like that because Max has good takedown defense. So Max would probably like stop him inside like 3 rounds. And Chandler like has beaten no UFC champion. So I don't know if Max will be the first champ that he's beat. Karine Silva. Oh yeah, I've heard of this chick before. She fought this past Saturday, right? Oh yeah, and she submitted Marina Moroz like with a second left to go of the round. Yeah, she's pretty good. She's like a ground specialist, right? Holloway doesn't do well against guys who can match his pace in the stand up and not back down. Dustin showed that in their second fight. Yeah, and Volkanovski showed that in all 3 fights. Connor showed that as well. Uh, Aldo was kind of showing that until he gassed out. Um, yeah, I think Justin would just do much of the same that Poirier did and Volk did, and would batter his legs. Yeah, she's ready for the top 10. Okay, that's good. And she's in the flyweight division. I wonder who she could fight then in the top 10. There's Viviane Arujo, but she's fighting Maya. Maybe she could fight Macy Barber, Lauren Murphy, Chukagan. There's some good options for her there. Yeah, Yair kind of showed it too. Yeah, he kind of did. Not gonna lie. But I think Holloway would have his way with Chandler. Yeah, Chandler's just too wild. Doesn't have the discipline or the IQ, and he has at least a round or two to finish the job. And if he cannot do that, yeah, Holloway's just gonna he'll melt him. He'll just chop him down and break him. But Chandler will beat Connor though, although Connor winning will be better for business. I guess we'll just have to see what happens in that. Oh yeah, Justin won't back down from Holloway either. No, definitely not, man. Yeah, Gaethje is so hard to beat though. Like he only does terrible in championship fights. Whenever he's like in a non-title fight, he always wins. Or an interim title fight, he does well. But whenever he's like in an undisputed title fight, he chokes literally and figuratively. Islam submits Justin within two. Oh yeah, I've been saying that for a while. Like a lot of people are hyping Gaethje off this win over Dustin, but that's Dustin, man. Uh, yeah, I don't know, man. I think Makachev could surprise him with good striking on the feet and with his speed and awkwardness. And Gaethje has to worry about the takedown threat. And Gaethje's out here saying, well, he's not Khabib, so I'm more confident against him. But it's like, he is Khabib, maybe not with a good chin, but way better defense, just as fast, better striking, and he's going to be able to still get his takedowns on Gaethje. I think it looks like the Volkanovski fight in the first round, where like Islam is extremely patient, but then he'll surprise Gaethje, he'll stagger him on the feet, but he won't pursue a finish on the feet. He'll just chase a takedown, get a takedown, get the back like he did to Volk, but because Justin can't grapple for shit, he'll get choked out. Connor called out Gaethje too. Oh yeah, the moment that Justin became the interim champion and knocked out the guy that beat Connor twice, now he wants some after spending years ducking that fight. I think Gaethje would do bad things, evil things to Connor in that octagon. The UFC would never allow it to happen. It'd be manslaughter. Yeah, at this point, Justin Gaethje destroys McGregor. He destroys legs easily, would catch him on the feet most likely, and would get the knockout. I mean, like a prime McGregor could beat Gaethje, but Connor now, yeah, I don't think so. Do you think Islam will finish Oliveira again? Yes, I do. I do think that Makachev is going to get it done again. I just think he's a bad matchup for Charles, man. I mean, 1 year just isn't enough for like, Oliveira to make any crazy changes to his game. And he already said he wasn't ready for Abu Dhabi, and now he's taking this fight. Yeah, and Islam just a terrible matchup. Like, what's Charles gonna do? Like, what's gonna be his approach? Obviously, he can't go out there and be wild and think he's just gonna run through Makachev. He's not gonna do to Islam in the opening round like he did to Beneil Dariush, because Islam is a better counter puncher than Beneil with better better striking defense and more of a takedown threat. So Oliveira might come out more patient in this fight. But I don't know if it's going to be enough. It's going to be hard to find Islam's chin. It's going to be hard to find the perfect shots on the feet. Makachev can still catch him, and Makachev can still take him down, and he can still dominate on the ground. So I think it's going to go very similarly. But what Oliveira has to do, he's got to compose himself, still apply pressure, but not reckless pressure. Like, be defensive while going forward and being first. And do not pull guard. And if you have a chance to get up, take it. Do not stay in the clinch, because you'll get taken down again and ragdolled. Avoid the clinch. Don't pull guard and defend takedowns. Do not accept them. Try to make it a striking match, and be patient, but don't be timid. That's all I can say for Charles. But for right now, I don't see him getting it done. Is Pena versus Myra 50-50? Yes. After watching Whaley's last fight and the way she looked, do you think Tatiana is ready for her, or does she need one or two fights to get 100% ready? She was born ready, man. Tatiana is ready. She's the definition of ready. She doesn't need another fight or two to be ready for Whaley. It's either she can beat her or she can't. Like, one or two fights is not going to change Tatiana's capabilities. Like, they said the same thing about Rose when she came off one win, and she, had a bit of a lackluster performance against Jessica. People said, "Oh, she's not ready to fight Wei She needs more time, one more fight," and she kicked her in the damn head. So, yeah, nah, she's ready right now. And if she can beat her, she can beat her. If she can't beat her, she can't. So, Um, she ain't gonna be able to maul Suarez on the ground like that. And don't forget, Suarez has better submission offense. Exactly. Exactly. And a way better wrestler than Carla Esparza by a mile. Like the way Tatiana was able to reverse take, or Whaley was able to like reverse takedowns, end up on top, and out wrestle Carla. That is not gonna happen against Tatiana. I'm sorry, that's not happening. Uh, Whaley had Lemos's back, and couldn't submit her. But if Tatiana gets Lemos's back, she's definitely submitting her. Oh, facts. Um, People saying Prime Connor would have easily beat Tony Ferguson, but if it was really that bad, it was really that easy. Why did Connor avoid that fight? That says a lot right there. If it were easy, he would have took the fight. That's true. That's true. You know, Conor McGregor, when he saw that matchup, he's like, ooh, that looks like a bad matchup for myself. And Tony's not really a big name. So, you know, what's the point of taking that risk and hurting my brand against a guy who's not really known? Whereas, even though Khabib was a worse matchup, Khabib was more notable. More people knew who Khabib was for his undefeated record, his style, representing Dagestan. You know what I mean? So, that had more marketability behind it. So that's why Connor was more willing to risk it against Khabib. But against Tony, yeah, he was not willing to risk it. And if it were that easy, he would have definitely took the fight. It's 50-50 to me. It's one of those fights where we just have to watch. Definitely. It's a tough fight for both. But the thing is that Whaley's striking is way better. She's way more well rounded. But Tatiana is so good in wrestling and can be enough to finish her there. I'm picking Tatiana, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Like Whaley's more well rounded and she's a better striker, but it can all change the moment Tatiana gets the fight to the ground. How is Whaley gonna deal with the wrestling offense? And then when she's off her back, what is she going to be able to do? Is she going to be able to get up? Is she going to be able to threaten subs? I mean, the least I see Whaley doing is like from the initial takedown, she will be active from bottom, throwing elbows off her back. But eventually, Tatiana will start taking control from top and will adapt and pass guard and start doing her thing on the ground. True, it will come down to who can impose their will. Yeah, whoever can impose their will win the fight. And I said the same thing about Rose versus Zhang when it happened back in the day. Carla was on top of Whaley. If Suarez gets on top, Whaley, she will be fishing for submissions, definitely. And Whaley's not getting up. She's not getting back to her feet. She's not going to reverse her. It's just she gets taken down, and from there, it's a done deal. And I think after this fight, if Tatiana wins, people are going to stop doubting Suarez. Like a lot of people right now are trying to dismiss her and act like she's not that good or that she's overrated or untested. But I promise you, once she beats Zhang Weili, I'm not going to say when, if she beats Weili, how are you going to doubt this woman? Other than maybe if she fights Dern, people will probably still convince themselves into believing that Dern has a chance. But by that point, if you beat Wei Li and you're Tatiana, who's beating you? Like, who in the division can stop her? Like, the winner of Wei Li versus Tatiana is going to go on to be an unstoppable force. If Wei Li wins, she clears the whole division for like another year or two. If Tatiana Suarez wins, she's going to do the exact same thing and she's going to stay undefeated for quite a while unless something unexpected happens, unless like some brand new fighter on the block that's super good is able to beat both, you know, Whaley or Suarez. Because that could happen. We could be surprised. But right now, from what I know, the winner of this fight is going to be a dominant force as a champion. Facts. Carla was taking her down. Or Carla taking her down was surprising, but she's too small, unfortunately. That's the problem, man. Carla's small. So it was easier for Whaley to explode her way out of positions and reverse positions. But Tatiana's big for the division, man. Like she's almost like a 135er fighting at 115. Zhang gets KO'd by Suarez. That would be crazy. If Tatiana were to KO Zhang like on the feet, they can say nothing about Tatiana. Like that will just show how much she's evolved as a fighter to KO a striker like that on the feet. I love MMA. Best sport, without a doubt, one of the best sports of all time. Bro, I'm sorry if talk about McGregor and Ferguson fighting. It's just a fight that I would have loved to have seen. Yeah, me too. There was a time I would have liked to have seen it. I don't want to see it now for Tony's sake, but definitely like 2017, 2018, 19, I definitely would have loved to have seen it. Mason is trolling. She ain't killing Zhang. Yeah, I don't think so. But I mean, if she did, that'd be funny. Suarez will hold 3 belts. I don't know about that, but she could definitely be a 2 division champion. I could see her winning the Whaley fight. Depending on who's the 125 champion, like if Grasso's still the champ, she could beat Grasso again. She could beat Valentina, but I think Blanchfield and Santos beat her. Like Blanchfield and Santos are like two of the hardest people to beat at women's flyweight right now. Like, with their level of grappling and control, they can beat anybody at flyweight. I think Tatiana is going to force Zhang to wrestle, and Zhang will gas eventually. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, Whaley might look good and strong early and show some resistance early, but all that wrestling, that chain wrestling, it's natural for Suarez. She won't slow down, but Whaley will get exhausted like she did against Rose. But Tatiana's going to better capitalize on a tired Whaley. Blanchfield will get exposed. I can see it. Duran's offensive guard is one of the best in MMA. Tatiana doesn't stand a chance. Oh yes, she does, man. Tatiana's got great top control and great positional awareness. Blanche. Oh, I already read that. Um, who remembers when Erin destroyed Molly? Oh, I remember that very well. And she finished Molly like Santos couldn't, which is interesting. Do you think Tony would have been able to stand with Connor, or would he have had to use his wrestling? Um, Tony back then never would mix in any takedowns. He like use the Imanari role in a lot of his fights. He did try to wrestle Bobby, but yeah, he probably would have tried to strike with Connor. He might get hit, but Tony back then had a good chin, good recovery. So I think for like a round or two, Tony gets pieced up. But I think as the fight goes on, Tony will start connecting on Connor. Connor will start slowing down. And then Connor's going to shoot for a takedown and get Darce like Barboza. Duran versus Tatiana would play out like Maya versus Askren. That's interesting. So like two terrible strikers striking with each other, and then Tatiana gets a takedown, gets reversed, and Rune get choked. I don't know about that, but I think it would be more like Makachev versus Oliveira, in my opinion. Maybe without Dern getting subbed, but still. I think Erin has potential, but she should have fought someone like Jennifer Maya first to see where she's at. Yeah, that definitely would have been a much better fight for her. But that's why there's a lot at stake in this matchup because this fight's going to be the ultimate test that will tell us what we need to know about Erin. This nigga's still live. Yeah, I'm gonna hop off this soon though, because I've been on for a long time. Erin versus Grasso title match. Yeah, I would like to see that. Santos beat Val. She did. That was a robbery. If Dern loses to Andrade, which is a possibility, then Dern versus Suarez will never happen. Oh yeah, and that will just prove that Tatiana is better than her. MMA math. What's crazy is Ferguson and Connor used to be cool with each other. I know, but times change, man. They took pictures together back in the day. They were from the same management team, but yeah, over time that changed. I don't see it. Dern has better BJJ than Charles. Charles has like the most submissions in UFC history, though. Tatiana's wrestling isn't as good as Islam's. Debatable. She may not be like as well rounded as Islam, but come on, her wrestling and control is very comparable. Colby versus Leon. That's a good fight. Agreed. Santos will show that there's levels. Tatiana has great wrestling. Yeah, she does. Dern versus Andrade. Dern is going to send Andrade on her way, but I mean, if Jessica can finally snap the L streak, good for her. But yeah, I don't know, man. She's been way too active, taking way too many L's. It's just hard to have any faith in her. Colby beats Leon easy. I hope so. Like if Colby is like anything he was, you know, prior to those Usman fights, I think he wins for sure. I would get folded like an omelet, literally. Against who? Who will win, Tatiana or Andrade? To stop. Tatiana Suarez. SMH. It's sad how UFC uh, wasted Chandler's time. He could have fought someone by now this year, but Connor's playing games with the UFC. Yeah, that sucks on Chandler's end. The fact that he might not even fight in 2023. That would suck. That he doesn't get to fight on the 30-year anniversary. Colby is asked. Colby will get smashed by Leon. We'll see. Lolita Dovadovich. Sorry I butchered your last name. I want Colby to win so bad. He's so entertaining. Yeah, and him being champ would be pretty good for business, man. He's very marketable. He's very funny as well. Ferguson versus Patty. Uh, yeah, I mean, they could make that, but there's really not a guy on the roster Tony can beat right now. I think Patty would win at this point. Shafkat submits Colby. That's very possible, man. Shafkat has great submission ability, and Colby's been subbed before. Maybe Colby can leave his neck open for a bad takedown and gets guillotined, like Wari did to him. I don't think the Connor Chandler fight is. If it doesn't happen, yeah, it'll suck. And Connor's like saying, "Oh, I might not fight this year. Oh, it's back on the table." So, yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen at this point. Calling a Leon knee KO to the body because maybe he can land a good body shot potentially. Yeah, I can't pick the winner because Dern's wrestling sucks. If she can't take her down, she's going to lose. Um, and if she can, I can see her submitting her, so it's 50-50. What fight are you talking about? Andrade versus Stern? Yeah, if Jessica loses, she needs to retire, man. She totally needs to just call it a career. But he didn't knee Kamaru in the chin. That was a shin to the chin, not a knee. I mean, the guy does more tweeting than actual fight. I know, and then you see like post fight, the guy every fight he tries to make the fight about. He tries to make it about himself. He always tweets about some fight, gives his reaction, and always has something dumb to say. What happened to Andrade? She fell off. I don't think she's hungry anymore. She just needs a paycheck. Yeah, I feel like, she was hungry to start the year. She beat Lauren and she had a goal of going back down to 115 to chase the Whaley rematch. But then she took the Erin fight on short notice. And after getting finished by Erin, she just was never the same. And then she took the Yan Xiaonan fight and just she took that fight way too soon. Like I think she should have taken more time after getting submitted by Erin, but she came back quick, jumped right back into a training camp, put her body through more stress, um, and just went out there with no plan and got smashed. And then didn't need to take the Tatiana fight, took the fight. And instead of just taking a break, she's coming back again, which is so stupid. Like her body needs rest, her mind needs rest, and she just needs to take time to just assess things and try to work on what needs to be worked on. But this activity against these tough opponents is just not going to help her. So yeah, she's probably just looking for a paycheck at this point. I think she knows that she'll never be champ again. I think she's just trying to chase the bag before calling it a career, maybe. If Connor is so rich, why is he always on Twitter? I know, right? Oh, last fight, Leon caught Usman with a flush knee to the chin. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. So you're saying that knee Colby won't eat and it will knock him out. It's possible. It's possible. All right, though. So I've been on here for like 2 hours and 17 minutes. It is 12 a.m. Was on here a bit longer than I wanted to, but thank you all for joining. I figured I might just show my face before I sign off this. So yeah, I might read like a few more of these comments before I go. I think Justin has more of a chance against Charles than he does against Islam. Now that I know Charles beat Justin, but Charles does get hit a lot. Justin has a chance to kill. Yeah, he does have a good chance. He just would need to really stay composed under fire, and also not get in a motorcycle accident 4 weeks before the fight. Don't show up with a concussion. Obviously, that was very dumb of him. But Gaethje doesn't pull out, so whatever. But yeah, he just needs to keep calm, pick his shots, not overswing, and yeah, he could definitely beat Oliveira. And he definitely has a better chance beating him than beating Islam. But I don't know if Colby's chin is done, but yeah, he does get chin quite a bit. I mean, his chin might not be the best. Colby can't take Leon's power. Yeah, we'll see when they fight. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. I'm gonna sign off, and I'll try to be back on here very soon.